All right, the meeting for the city of Ellsworth for June the 9th, 2025, regular council meeting. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's. Okay, this will be for the approval of the agenda for June 9th.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda tonight.
I'll second.
All right, Tyler's made a motion to approve the agenda. Darcy has seconded that motion. Any debate, any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, now next item would be the consent agenda. Includes the May 27th meeting minutes, claim ordinance A01-0525.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, Councilor Renard has made a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Councilor Panzer has seconded that motion. Any problems with that at all? Any? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next item, public comment. Do I have anybody signed up for public comment? All right. All right, Mr. Ryan Weber, you want to come up? Or did you want to go during the agenda?
To the agenda.
Okay, all right. Deb Brown, you want to speak?
Yes,
All right,
I'm the one that's been doing the TNR and helping out the city massively. Last year I did 37 cats, spay and neuter. 5 of them were private homes. The rest of them were kittens and cats from that back block, the other back half of the block of the courthouse. So probably 15 to 18 kittens were out of there and 12 cats were out of there. No, there was more than 12 cats. 23 cats. Hold on. I thought I had it all straight. The courthouse block, there was 24 kittens, and 13 were cats from there. So all of those have been spayed or neutered, so they don't reproduce, they don't do anything else. And what happens is they slowly die off through season, through predation and everything else. So those numbers will slowly drop, because I've heard people say, well, quit feeding the damn things. It's like, no, that doesn't do it. So that colony will keep all the cats away. And so those numbers will slowly decrease. And having 24 kittens out of that area helps a lot, because you're gonna have more tomcats coming in and you can see the multiplication happening fast. 18 of those kittens were raised in my home for a long time. Too long, they won't happen again. 12 of them were adopted out. These are the kittens. 6 were so feral out of some of those Beloit vet clinic that I can get a deal with. Adopted them out to farms and homes that have good barns. They've all been vetted. So they were good care facilities for those cats who just wandered to the road. So 8 trips at 50 miles each, one way. All my fuel costs at 18 miles per gallon. Total out of pocket without that was $3,472.37. And probably $600 of that's plus, just so you kind of know value, right? I had 5 sponsors out of all that who either paid for all of those 5 cats or they paid for a portion of those. I had Good Samaritan donated, somebody out there donated $400. And I got most of that taken care of, but the one person who said, oh, I'm gonna do it, don't worry about it, now has 4 kittens at his house and an unspayed, or probably unspayed because it's paid. So anyway, one little disaster slipped through, you're in trouble. So there is other options. One of them is a grant, and I've done a lot of work on that. It's not available for me unless I'm a 501(c) organization for 2+ years. Plus, it's $3,500 to $4,500 to get the certification for the 501(c). So that's more money out of my pocket. So I went up to Smoky Hill Wind Tower Foundation. And they said, I understand your problem, I've heard about it. They told me the city's willing, if the city's willing, they can apply for a grant. And they'll work, they can work with me and I'll do the work, I'll do everything that I'm doing, but I don't have to go broke. And I can still help cash out. It's a lot less strict, they can put it under a lot of different headings for helping the city. One of them, like Dawn had brought up before, the roundworms, flea and tick, all that control that you have to worry about transferring a bunch of things to humans. So especially kids playing in the dirt, we know none of our kids playing in the dirt. Usually when they're all dressed up, ready to go someplace. So that's a good possibility. So I'd still like to do all the work, but not be financially drained. If I could work with somebody here, and we could figure out what we could do to work with the wind tower for a grant.
I'd be more than happy to visit with you and we can talk about it. The other option, if I want to give you a call first, is can we work through the community foundation here? And I don't know, I've used them in our community, but I don't know the whole makeup here yet, so,
Right,
call them, we'll get a phone, we'll talk.
okay, and the funding is bigger at the wind tower foundation.
Oh, no problem.
And he basically said he was up for it. So one other note for the last meeting, I forgot to bring the articles. There was 5 cats, and I think it was Washington State, big cats from a zoo. They got bird flu and died. And that was from the state veterinary and all the huge DVM of all of the United States. And it had a whole report. I apologize, but I just wanted to let you guys know that that's coming. I can hand it off to you and you can hand it.
Give me a holler sometime we can meet.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Done a lot of work. A lot of legwork.
Just a little bit backward.
Yeah, definitely. Move the ball along. So that's it for public comments. So we're now moving on to unfinished business, and now it's the discussion from Ryan and Linda Weber at 1401 West 12th Street for funding of a septic system project.
Mayor and council members, it was in the packet last time, we just repeated the packet again. This property does not have sanitary sewer. It has it to the far corner of the property, but not to the house. There is a manhole at the far southeast corner of the property, but that's probably at least what, 300-400 foot maybe, I'm not sure how far it is.
From the house?
Yeah, to the corner.
It could be further than that.
For that, okay, yeah, but it does come to the property, but they own all that property from there to here, so. But there is a manhole at the property corner, but again, it's not near the house. So, last time we talked about, discussion with the one with block 2 south last year. And at the request of commission, reached out to the Webbers next day again. And they missed me last night. They had some things come up. They were trying to be here, but they couldn't make it that night. So here's where we're at.
Do you want to come up, Ryan, and add something that's
I really don't have anything to add. Just my system failed, and so I'm just wondering if I'm in the same situation as Mrs. Kennedy directly to the south of me, which I believe, from what I understand, her system was paid for by the city.
I don't think it's the same deal. I really don't. I'm sorry, but I don't. think what we had to go through. You do have a manhole at your property line. We were gonna, we engineered it was gonna be 130 some thou. You know. And there was some right of way exchange from the city. There was something that she gave up, you know, from her ground for the city. I don't think it's the same deal. I mean, that's my opinion on it. I think it's two different, and that was another thing we don't need to go through again, hopefully.
We're not gonna go through that again.
Yeah, let's not.
You were promised a bunch of items from previous city administrators, correct? About they were gonna do this for you, do that for you out there, and they were gonna do this. And that's why we settled on that. Is that correct?
Yes,
What's your take? I don't know.
I mean, I've had this before, most of our cities I've been in, you know. The city, the only time the city usually runs a sewer to for utilities is when the city did a forced annexation. Usually is like, if we were gonna reach out and I've done this, well, I say, if we want to annex this property right here is next to the city has provided utility plan. And you have 5 to 10 years to fill the plan, and if you don't get it done, they actually petition the county commission to force a de-annexation. But in this case here, these properties, I believe, have been in the city a while. Don't know how long exactly they've been more. And I don't know how they were brought in. I'm assuming they were brought in by petition or agreement with the property owners, but again, I can't guarantee it because we can't find records on that one. But when property is brought into the city by petition, you know, then there's no, when the owner petitions to become the city, I'm assuming where I'm gonna build. The bank wanted to bring it into the city, and the bank did all the costs. And you either pass it on to the property owner by special investments, if you don't have any special benefit districts in town right now, to my knowledge. Or in my case, the bank took care of it, and I got to pay the special assessment now with a bigger price. You know, more than likely, there's like very little sewer in this town that was paid for by the city in general. It was paid by either a property owner or a group of property owners when they did a development district, or by the developer who then passed that cost on to the purchaser at the purchase price. But there's, I mean, it can go either way. I mean, it's just a difference, you know.
Do you have an estimate what it cost on the sewer line by chance?
Sewer line,
Yeah,
is that going on?
put your house in. I wonder, is that more expensive than the septic tank, or which I would say by far, by far?
And I don't know what the slopes are there. I have no idea what the slopes are.
Are you in the city limits? She's in the city limits, yeah, okay.
Aren't you in the city limits? Yes, he's in too.
He's in the city limits also.
We're just basically a block apart.
Yeah,
That's what I'm just looking from the outside, he didn't mean, but, yeah, we're block apart and,
We're about the same. Yeah, those houses are almost straight as the crow. They're almost straight line, aren't they? Yeah, pretty close.
When we made that decision before, we set precedents of probably what we were gonna do. And since we've done it for one, I don't know how we can back out doing it for another person.
well, I'm not gonna be for that. I'm sorry, but it's two different things. It's not. You're wanting a free septic system. She's been here years and years
dirty.
complaining about it. We engineered it and we went,
That's right, yeah.
we looked at the cost of a sewer for her and it was 130 grand versus, hey, let's get her fixed up. Where you, I mean, you didn't get an engineered thing for you, and it's really on your own sewer line. Cause you've got a manhole at your property. Everybody else in town has to take care of their sewer to the property line, or to the manhole. I mean, I had to pay for mine from my shop to the street, dig the street up, and put a sewer line. I mean, that was all on me. And it's on, I mean, Anchor's doing the same thing up there. He would have had to run his sewer clear to what? Was that 11? If that
Yeah,
wouldn't-
well,
if they
we
wouldn't have found it,
Yeah, it's
So,
a-
it has-
then he didn't have to either.
He paid for water.
I mean, I just can't, I don't think we should, I don't think it's right, but
Okay.
that's what I think. I think it was two different. I mean, we paid for insurance.
The only thing I always say is, I just think I feel like I remember saying when we did it the other time that we weren't setting a precedent because it was a weird situation.
That's what I thought.
I didn't think so.
I didn't, I thought we said that, but this is a case by case deal. We're not gonna say, well, that's how it is.
That's why I brought that up, because I didn't know which way we went, but I knew that she had been lied to, or promised, not lied to.
Yeah.
Promised,
They're
promised.
kind of the same
For
for.
how many years?
9,
9 years, which is a different situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
but
mean,
when we discussed it, they had said that they would have to run too much piping to get me to a manhole, to somewhere to connect me. It would have cost them too much money to run all that piping, because they had to go all the way up to the end of the street to pipe me in.
Yeah, there wasn't any manholes even up there.
There isn't one up there.
No. You know, I mean, if you've got one there, that best bet would be to run sewer instead of gonna get rid of the septic, I would think. I don't know the cost, what.
Yeah, I think the cost is gonna be prohibitive.
And I don't know the slopes either. I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either, but it would be,
You know.
you wouldn't have to maintain it much. But I don't.
So. Yeah.
Back in the 1990s, they would call me to come up to my house with sewer piping. It was $2,000 back then. So you can imagine what the piping would cost now.
Yeah. Well, according to Tyler and according to our attorney, I guess we probably cannot do anything, right? Am I right?
I thought when we dealt with that, I thought it was said that this is a one-time, the case by case deal. It's not a precedence, it's two different things. In my opinion, that it's not the same thing.
Actually, that's where we're at right now. Right?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Ryan. All right, discussion of procedures for city appointments, unfinished business.
Okay, we talked last time, we're gonna do the charter ordinance, I got a draft in the packet. Maybe, I think that's caught what everybody has said. Or at least, what I felt was consensus, I'm not sure if that's why I want to review before we bring it up for a vote next time. Maybe the question out there is a vacancy of the council. It would be done by the government, the council would appoint, would vote on that. And this would, change a little bit. Right now, if a council member vacates, the mayor makes the appointment is subject to approval by the council. And there's some kind of new rules, so there's a 45-day thing in there now. I'm putting there that you have to do it in 45 days. If somebody, that way it doesn't get prolonged either, that way if a council member leaves, this group will have to come back in 45 days to pick a new person. You're maybe taking away from the mayor, but on the other hand, when I was in cities in the second class, like in Hoisington or Alliance, the mayor does not have a vote, nor does, if a council position is open, it would be picked by the council. Now, again, I would argue that in those cases, I had, my mayor they always work to a consensus together. And technically there's no vote, but most of them were always voted on by 8-0, so, it was, everybody was with it, they worked things out that way. You do gotta realize if you ever have to appoint a council person, that's all done in public session, it's not done, you cannot go to their session to appoint a council member. You can for elected their positions. This one here puts in place that you appoint the council would hire the city manager or the city administrator, the fire chief, city clerk, and then contractually with the city attorney. I mean, that, and then the other, like you mentioned last time, the area department has to be hired by the city administrator.
Where's the fire chief? I didn't see him.
He,
It's not.
he just be hired by the, because you don't have a paid fire chief here,
No, he's volunteer.
he's volunteer,
And I think they're appointed by the people, then we approve it. I think that's how it works.
probably.
Yeah.
Fire chiefs in towns like this, you're happy when you get a good one
Yeah.
and they take care of themselves, they do a great job.
Mhm.
And what this fire department does here,
Above and beyond.
they don't even, we don't even pay them a stipend for a meeting like some other small cities would.
Yeah.
They don't want it, they have what they want, they operate well, totally love working with the organization. Let's do some changes, I can bring back next meeting, but just want to throw it out one more time. I think we've caught everything, when the amendment was added last year, it means some other things have to change. Because we have that testamentary charter ordinance at 22, that wasn't touched last time, and, so we got that all covered, and I'm putting in that we, even though charter 27 is not in place, I'm gonna put the word about getting rid of it as well, appeal it, just so there's never a confusion down the road.
I think, I mean, doesn't it have kind of everything we
Yeah,
kind of wanted?
I'm against it. I mean, I'm not, I think you've made some progress. I think that, the fact is I'm gonna be an outgoing mayor in like 10 to 14 meetings. If my opinion is like, there, you need to really think about the mayor's job when you do these things. And, you're not giving the mayor any leverage, and I think we needed that last year. I felt like I proved it. We could talk more about it. So with this, I think, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. To think we're moving down the slippery slope of depowering a mayor, and do we want to do that? I do know, can't you put this up for referendum just as is? You don't have to have a petition. When I went and read it,
Referendum, I mean,
or a vote to the public.
referendum votes, binding referendums on cities, are very difficult to do, and I'm quite frankly against them. I haven't dealt with them very often, but it's usually, the one thing you really, the theory of government is that the city council represents the people and has to make those decisions, and referendums usually aren't binding, and then it becomes a bigger mess because you have a non-binding referendum that the council has to decide whether or not they want to follow, and that's a disaster. So I don't know if Alan has the experience, but that's my opinion on doing a referendum.
I'm kind of with Tyler on this, where if it's got everything in there that we want, Tyler, and we're ready, we just need to make a motion to approve it then, and what do you think, Dan? I mean, Alan, I said.
Sir, I'd recommend wait a meeting, because that's kind of been my MO and everything we've done. Talk about it, get the orders in place. And that way there's no question, there's no add-ons next Monday meeting. And I always like that one discussion period, did it with some other things we've done this year. And that's the way I'd like to progress this council to work, because that way you develop along the way and the council becomes a. I mean, it's the council makes a vote, but I also want them to be part of maybe that, not just staff. It's that teamwork doing it, so.
Is this the one where we put, like, if someone steps down, someone has to apply? Is that going?
No, I didn't put the word apply in there, and the reason why I didn't do that is. I don't want to make it, we talked about that last time, because that's what we've done in a lot of cities. I think you still can. I don't want to get in the situation where you put something in there where now on to become a member of the council, with the vacancy, you have to go through application. There may be a time or two. Hopefully it doesn't happen. That if you had a disaster, I lost a council member during a tornado. We didn't have time, and we needed everybody members, Greensburg kind of went through that. The mayor stepped down in the middle of the tornado. Council member moved up, to become, council member became mayor, and they had a vacancy, and time was of the essence, and they made that decision. A charter ordinance would tie them. Not that it's bad policy, but I don't want to do anything that ties them in case there's that one weird case. And like tornado body comes out all the time, and going, that's why, you never want to tie in an ordinance. I think it's a practice you might want to follow. It's a good practice. It's one of the best practices I think there is. If there's a vacancy, you have applications, you can do that. You have to do a public session, you can give 3 minutes to say, hi, I'm going to be on the council, here's why. and then you pick as a group, but put it in writing, I would recommend we don't do that. For those reasons.
I think it's a good point. Let me challenge the council. Let's try to make this a 6-0 vote. Alan said something I think pretty profound, is that when you go and you start to pick and you start to fire and all that, it really needs to be like a 5-0 vote, or you're talking about hiring somebody. You don't want to be hired on a 3-2, correct?
Well, you don't wanna hire I mean, let's put it this way, when you, I've had. Co-workers or, constituents that are people that will, city managers, city administrators, that. When you go to hire your next city administrator here, you wanna find the person that all of you can work with. Because if not, it's a, keep looking then. Find the person that fits the position. We always hire the best person. No, I've seen city administrators that were hired by a 5-0 vote that 5 months later, they don't have a job anymore. It happens. People are people and things are gonna happen, but for the most part, it doesn't. I think one thing we wanna move to, especially now, as you're making this pivot now, after I get done here and you hire a person to fill in, I think the unity amongst the governing body, which is everybody up here, besides myself and Mandy, is essentially important. This city deserves and needs somebody to get in here. And waiting first year, the 3 new elected will serve that person for 4 years. They're 2 years or 2 years. And that'll be fine. But the point is you want to get somebody in here because I think that's important to make that turn here. If I have to look at the city from the outside in, as I did until I'm doing this here now is you got to establish some leadership on the city administrator, working with the council, not this up and down. And if I'm for this one here, Mayor, I'll argue with this one here is the threats, and we pulled out that the mayor, the administrator will now be hired, the police chief will be hired, and the city clerk will be hired, and the city attorney will be hired by a contract. They'll be done by the council, but it's not subject to annual review. And I think that's the one thing we can never go, well, I'm gonna run for mayor because I don't like that police chief or mayor, he did something wrong. But the rest of the council's for it. Now, yes, if you have a police chief or a city administrator that doesn't do their job, you gotta get rid of them, go for it. If that's part of the game because it's still your city, because you have contracts and everything else. But I think the days of the old time of saying, well, I appoint every year, when I was in Oakland, got appointed every year and to this day, it's still a routine. The mayor's gonna appoint everybody, and it always happens. It's when you have threats that scares employees. And I think it causes a lot of dissension amongst the whole community.
I think what, I agree with everything you're saying. I think if you're gonna have a mayor, the mayor needs to have some level of authority in an emergency situation. I think that's what I'm getting at. So the appointment is almost like an emergency method that they should never go to, but what else do they have? So I think we reached that last year. And so this is what I think we need to work towards, Alan. If we in the next 2 weeks could get something that alerts the people that there is a problem here, but I'd be happy we can go 6-0 vote, but I think that that's.
But the downside with that is, Mayor, and again, I wasn't here, so I'm not trying to fill a lot of stuff in. Is. It appears to me, I'm right to the envelope, let's say, it appears to me that the issue you had here it was not unanimous among the 60. It was one person's decision, and the other 5 had no say so. Which is as bad as well, or maybe worse, because, there was no consensus, it was like, and the downside of the appointment is, and I've been through these. If the mayor doesn't say John Doe, and the rest of them say, we don't want John Doe, we want Jack Kelly. And if you don't say the word Jack Kelly doesn't have a chance. Can never happen. And again, to leave it to one person, now if there had been a situation, don't want to know what'll happen here, but a situation where there had been a discussion amongst the council, say, we got to develop a plan and do things. that's totally fine. I mean, if somebody needs to, you know. I have city manager friends that, move on, everything else. And it's done with a process. And of course, then you have contracts. The problem you have is with the way it was done. You were being benign totally, or just forgetting about all the contracts and legal obligations with employees and everything else. This, I believe, moves a different direction.
Yeah.
Because you still got employee issues. And you got contractual issues.
Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. It boils down basically what we faced with Patrick and the mayor. 5 of us wanted Patrick to go ahead and continue to be our city attorney.
Right.
You had a personal conflict with him.
No, I don't. I felt like we've always been friends. In fact, my goal
Okay, are you
is
gonna
to get,
hold like that?
hold on, wait a minute. We can talk about that, but my goal is to make a point. And then, Patrick is gonna have to make a choice whether he wants to become friends, stay friends. That's not, I'm gonna do my job, and I think I follow the law, right? And you just don't like it. That's what we're dealing with. You just don't like it.
I don't like it that you,
I'm following the law.
the way you conduct yourself in a meeting and say, we're not gonna appoint Patrick when you got 5 of the council says, yes, let's do it. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm with you. That's, the reason this is all kind of was brought up is because of.
I follow the law.
Yeah, because of you.
Because I follow the law.
You caused this.
Because I follow the law.
We've done it the one way
Right.
forever, and
Right.
then you show up and we have to change everything because.
I actually
Look
read the
at
law. Read the law.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, he basically tore the
I
city.
like what we've got here.
I do too.
I think
I think we're moving in the right direction. I'm just saying, if you
Yeah.
want to have a 6-0 vote,
Alan,
Sheriff, if we have a 5-1 vote on this, it's still, and you'll be the one that votes against it, not so that it'll be 5-1 for this charter ordinance. Right?
yeah, Alan.
That's what I do, so.
but shouldn't we move?
No, we're ready.
No, we don't need to worry about it.
So forgive the mayor, just forgive us. Just, it's a joke, right?
Yeah.
Say it to everybody out there.
He's
Say
a,
it's a
he's
joke.
a joke.
No, no.
I just said, it. Yeah, I drink with you.
So you're publicly drunk, right?
I get
Running
around.
around, right?
Sure.
Can we get
And you're about to go,
this
yes, thank you. Okay.
topic, please?
Okay.
So do you need?
Do a motion
for us
to table to the next meeting.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to table,
Thank you.
agenda item 25-102 to the next meeting.
All right. We're good.
All right. So Jessica's made a motion. Who's gonna second the motion?
I will second that motion.
Tyler has seconded the motion. Any debate, any concerns?
I agree with Tyler. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, consent agenda, review and approval supplemental agreement number 1 with B&G Consultants, Inc. regarding potable water in the city's water well field.
Mayor, council members, last meeting we talked about the need to move forward with our well field and everything else. Talked about putting out RFPs. Had a scheduled meeting with Brian the next day. Comes to find out that he had already done some work back in the former contract. So I'm gonna recommend not doing an RFP at this time, but to do a supplemental contract for an hour basis, not to exceed $15,000 to take a look at our well field and where we need to start moving. Because part of that study that was done a couple of years ago, and again, I'm learning this being a new kid here, was the line from the well field to the water plant needs to be replaced down the road too. But right now, we're at the well field because we gotta continue to get water out there.
Do we have a history of the depth of the wells?
I'm sure they do. They'll have all those.
Okay, because I was wondering like this year versus 5 years.
Oh, yeah,
5
you
years,
gotta-
5 years.
Those are the water that they water for, aren't they, David?
Where our water's
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, every year when you're in water more than 6 events,
Okay,
they have to submit the depth of all the wells.
okay. It'd be interesting to see that on a chart.
Right.
I'll tell you, it has gone down since I live up that way. It has gone down in the years.
Mhm. Mine's still standing right at 150 feet.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the supplemental agreement number 1 to agreement consultant client between City of Ellsworth and BJ Consultants Incorporated for potable water preliminary engineering report in an amount not to exceed $15,000.
I'll second that.
All right, Darcy's made a motion to approve the BG Consultants potable water quote for the city's water well field, not to exceed $15,000. Counselor Panzer has seconded that motion. Any concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Aaron drop off? We don't know. Is there, okay,
I'm here, but I'm driving through traffic.
Don't have an access.
yeah, please don't. Okay, next item, resolution number 2025-20, extending the declaration of a water warning.
Mayor Kessler, we discussed this last meeting, it's been extended. I did put two additions in there. One, we talked about the football fields, allow them to do what they have to do. The other thing I put in there, you can take it out if you want to, is the very last, requisition guideline. Fundraising, car washes for youth and civic organizations are exempt from these restrictions. We allow, the car wash to be open. You don't have many of them, but you have a group of cheerleaders or whatever, the Catholic kids or whatever the case may be. You know, I don't think we're as critical as you've been in the past. It just puts a lot of, or, you know, what restrictions are up here, that's what they should be, is think about the water you use, can I be a little more conservative with the water? I don't think there's a point you have to have in the meeting, you might have to get someday of being iron rules. But again, this is one of those, because we got a call one day and I thought, well, we allow car washes, so I would suggest adding that in there.
I'd have to agree with you on the fundraising. We're not.
We don't have many,
Yeah,
we'll have two.
yeah, unless we're in a, we have to go to a step 3 or step 4, then we could change all that.
Correct.
Yeah. Good job. I'll make a motion that we adopt the city council, City of Ellsworth water program as of this 9th day of June 2025.
I'll second that.
Yeah, resolution number 2025-20. Don't get it.
All right, Counselor Panzer has made a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-20, extending the declaration of water warning. Counselor Renard has seconded that motion. Any debate, any concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda would be the J.H. Robbins Memorial Library report in a 2026 budget request. Want to come up,
Yeah.
everybody?
Mayor, council members, you know, we've talked and I thought, you know, last year the city's given over the funding. And also my passion at work, it's always good to have those wanting money sometimes come talk about what they're doing and why they need to go through the budget process.
Good evening, as president of the library board. I want to thank you folks for giving us a little bit of your time this evening. This is the season when you begin to look at budget requests for the city, and we would like to make you aware of what we have worked out for our budget. I hope you each have a sheet. I was before I go any further, Colleen Simple, our library director, is not able to be with us this evening because of conflict with another meeting. But she has prepared a statement that I will ask Sarah to read. Due to my respiratory limitations, I would much rather have Sarah read it, and so would you.
Good evening. We do have members of the library. We're here to show our support. It's something that we want to do more consistently to inform you of what we're doing at our library. We want to thank you for your time and taking your continued support. As the library board, we want to share the value, benefits, and joy the library brings to our community. We understand the importance of responsible budgeting and are proud to tell our story as we work together to make Ellsworth an even stronger and more vibrant place to live. We are requesting an increase in our upcoming budget and would like to share why this support is vital to maintaining and growing our services. Our last budget increase was in 2023. Since then, the cost of staffing, operations, and services have continued to rise. To keep serving our community with excellence and to offer fair wages and benefits for our employees, we're asking for an increase to help offset these rising expenses. While most of our funding comes from the city mill levy, we also receive support from the Central Kansas Library System, CKLS, which includes federal, county, and local dollars. The state typically contributes about $850, though we received a bit more this year. Unfortunately, due to changes in government funding at the federal level, we do not expect that increase again. These reductions will likely impact us locally, and we anticipate funding may return to around $1,000 from the state, if not lower. Libraries across the state are facing potential cuts to digital resources and programs like interlibrary loan and courier services. This is due to mandates and changes at the federal level, which cut state abilities and then hit us at the local level. CKLS is doing its best to help, but we are preparing for possible challenges in the areas we can control. We are careful with our spending, but many core expenses grow each year. We currently operate with 2 full-time and 2 part-time staff members, including a full-time youth coordinator who has significantly expanded programs for kids and teens. Our library is a busy and welcoming place, especially after school, with growing traffic from families, students, and kids. A recent addition is our new smart room, a technology-equipped space for free video conferencing as well as meetings in general. It is being used for medical visits, legal hearings, job interviews, adoptions, and more, serving those without private or reliable internet access. Public meeting spaces and our community room are also seeing increased use, reinforcing the library's role as a vital community hub. Our library grounds are also well maintained, beautiful, and heavily used by the public. People frequently stop by to access the free Wi-Fi, and many families use the area after school as a safe space for kids. We're also proud to be a summer lunch stop for feeding the children of Central Kansas, helping ensure local children have access to meals during the summer break. We now offer health insurance for our staff, an important but costly benefit. To help stretch our operating fund, we pursue grants to support our summer reading and tutoring programs, and generous community donations and fundraisers also help us buy books and offer enriching programs. At its heart, our library is about connection, bringing people together, sparking creativity, and supporting lifelong learning. With your continued support, we can meet growing needs, expand services, and fulfill our mission to enrich lives today and prepare for an ever-changing future. Thank you for considering our request. We deeply appreciate your belief in the power and value of public libraries. If you have questions, Pauline will be the best one to answer them. However, I'm willing to try.
And I don't know, I mean, last year they asked for 164 and the city been less. I don't know exactly what happened, but numbers are the numbers. And
Yes,
so,
yep.
and we're working about it a little bit hungry. One of the we're working on now. And we'll have our evaluation probably the end of this week, not the first of the week. And how to get all things balanced out. So we'll have more to go as we, next meeting, the following meeting, then talk more about the budgets.
Some of the increases that we're looking at, in addition to the ones from federal and state government we have absolutely no control over, some of the increases are the same ones that you deal with on a personal level and on the city level. Insurance. Insurance is gonna go up every year. I remember 6 or 7 years ago, something like that, furnace failed in the old furnace room. And unfortunately, it got extremely cold that weekend, holiday weekend, so no staff was down there. The sprinkler system for the fire sprinklers inside the library froze up. It was very expensive. At that time, our share was $5,000 on deductible. Now, our insurance deductible is $30,000. Now, we do have capital improvement, and that would take a huge chunk out of capital. But does it ever hail in Kansas? windows and roofing and stuff like that, you know, $30,000 will take a huge chunk. But anyway, we, as far as capital improvement, we are allowed by state law to take 10% of the budget approved to put in capital improvement, and that's how we have funded it all along. We have some infrastructure that has been aging. Let's see, I think the addition to the library was approximately 40 years ago. And that's lawn sprinkler system was put in there at that time. And the past several years, we have just had nothing but problems with that. And so we have had David Hamill make some major improvements to that. I'm just offering some things that we deal with all the time. And so if you have questions, we'd love to hear from you.
And come to the library. Because some people.
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised at all the services that are offered there. Thank you again.
Thank you. So this is something we'll take into consideration during the budgeting process, and appreciate the presentation, everybody. All right, that is it for our agenda. I don't see anything else here.
We have the executive session at the end.
Okay. This will be after I see it right there.
I'll let you guys move around with it, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up with department heads and who was out there?
David's the only one.
David, okay. All right, so we'll skip to David, you got any updates?
No, I'll give a few about the wells then, or
Yeah, we'll get it with that, with that. Brian was start meeting on, yeah. We got a contract, you know.
All right, thanks, David, is that it? Okay, very good. City Attorney, Patrick.
I can't think of anything unless there's a question.
Okay. All right, Mandy, City Clerk.
Nothing.
Nothing. Alan, City Administrator, interim.
Yes, sir, thank you. Mayor and council members, reminder that the city building will be closed and the city employees will be off on June 19th, and the city honors Juneteenth as a holiday. Also, we haven't talked about it much since I've been here, but the snow removal equipment building that was built at the airport is completely done. All of us signed off on. We got all the documents today from the architect or from the engineer on that one. So warranties are in place, everything's back and forth, and everything taken care of. The other item real quickly is the on the land that we're considering purchasing for the sewer bonds. The cultural study is being done right now. They got everything done, but they want to wait and they've given a contact KG until, since there's some wheat out there now, you can't see anything. So after harvest, they'll get done and hopefully get done. When that gets done, we then will submit to KDHE the formal application for the fund and hopefully get the money in place. So then will allow us to buy the land and start the process and everything else. That will also put back availability of money. I know we haven't spent it yet. Last fall, the contract was with VG. That money had to be encumbered. So now we'll be covered, and that'll give us a little more freedom on this side as well. So that is all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay. City Council, Tyler, do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay. Council President, Justin, do you have anything? Okay. Don, do you have anything?
Yes, just a reminder, when Dustin was here, we all took a tour of the fire department.
Yeah.
And we asked them what they really would like, and we come up with the idea of maybe having a retirement for the firemen. They do not want pay, they don't want any businesses, but Dustin discussed something about having a retirement program. Is that feasible? Because we just kind of dropped the ball on that, didn't we?
I don't know. I've never heard it done before.
I think for volunteer fire departments, that'd be unusual and probably very expensive, but also unusual.
Okay, because
Then what insurance they?
Dustin was gonna check in, and then we changed.
Well,
And we never followed up on it.
I don't know, I don't know what they do for their, sorry. their FRE, their fireman,
Yeah.
retirement. I don't remember what D stands for, sorry, it's been a long day. If somebody from the fire department wanted to talk to me about that, we could review it. They're usually pretty on top of that stuff.
Yeah.
But, if they wanted
Maybe
to,
we could have Ralph at the next meeting.
yeah.
Present
The
that.
one thing I remember that we never did, seem like we came up with it, they wanted their pay taken care of when they went on training. So if somebody had a salary job, remember?
Yeah.
And they go on away on training, they lose $2,000 of pay. They wanted to see if they could take care of that, and we just never followed up on that.
Yeah, we.
That's usually not that. I've never heard of a volunteer yet, I mean, it is what it is, well, now, you know, every town's a little differently, and of course, I had a volunteer property in Washington, and, you know, those employees, and luckily I had some good businesses there that just allowed their employees were paid because that's our commitment to the
Yeah.
community,
Right,
Yeah.
so.
and I think
I'll
this
look
was,
into it. I'll talk to Ralph.
yeah, and I think this also, if you remember, I think Arcee was there too. It had a lot to do with people who were in business for themselves, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't their employer covered, and all of a sudden, they can't go out and finish a contract on the house, so they wanted to take advantage of better training. They wanted to see if that could be taken care
I'll
of.
talk to Ralph.
Okay, and I think we never just followed.
Yeah, we had, so that's all I had.
Okay, Darcy, do you have anything? Okay, Mayor, I did go through the checks and read them. And I picked up on the fact that the golf course doesn't have a truck. They don't have even a used truck, they have, so they're using either other departments' trucks or they're just driving on their own locally and not getting, compensated for their miles. Is there a way we can try to figure that out in the budget process?
We can look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a used truck or just something, I just happened to glance at it and thought, we probably need to take care of that. So that's all I had. So with that said, let's go into executive session.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel.
I'll second that.
This is.
Yeah, read it all.
I move to go into executive session to discuss personal matters, of non-elected personnel regarding the vacant city clerk position, percent KSA 75-4310B-1 for 5 minutes beginning now.
Well, say 6:23.
Yeah, 6:23 to 6:30.
You have to include with administrator and attorney.
Yeah, and it was here.
And include the mayor, city council, city attorney, and interim city administrator.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All right, Council Panzer has made a motion to go into executive session to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel regarding the vacant city clerk position pursuant to KSA 75-4310B-1 until 6:30.
No, go for 6:23 to 6:28.
6:23 to 6:28.
Yeah.
This includes the mayor, city council, city attorney, and city administrator. Tyler has seconded that motion. Hearing any problems with it? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Mr. Mayor, I move the city council return from executive session where no decisions were made and no action was taken.
I'll second.
Tyler made a motion to, upon returning from executive session, moves the city council return where there's no decisions were made and no actions were taken. Darcy has seconded that motion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we need to adjourn the meeting, correct?
Yeah, I know I add a lot of language and stuff like that. This is just the way I've done executive session for last and an executive session, just so when you say you go into for employee matters, the state attorney general, I mean, we got in trouble in Junction City because they wanted a two-part motion saying and that one was for property. The problem with that one was if we had said it was a public works building, and we argued we were right, everybody in town would know what building. And when you're buying property, you don't want everybody to know because of you're buying property. But I just want to get, these are the little things that I'm gonna throw out. If you don't like them, fine. If you do, hopefully you continue them and we make this city so when people come in, continuity, and that's just my whole goal.
I thought it was really helpful.
Yeah, I like being able to read what
Yeah.
the right motion.
Yeah, so we don't forget anything.
Now, do you put those numbers in there?
I
You don't, I do.
I'll confess, I didn't just, everywhere else I go, I write the motion form, but because I've done Ellsworth so long, I didn't start doing that and no one ever asked me to, so I just haven't, but there's nuance to all this stuff, but I really do appreciate Alan having his knowledge on this and everything else, because it's good, it's really helpful.
Sounds good. All right, so let's get a motion to adjourn and.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll second it. All right, Jessica made a motion to adjourn for the evening and Donna seconded. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
You're waiting for that.